when I got arrested, they literally busted into my house. Like they were knocking on my door for so long. I thought it was like intrude, like fake people, like, because I'll explain, like, this will make a whole lot more sense. I'm still in the jail story right now. This will make, listen to me.
Bitch, I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead. I let all that get to my head. I don't care, I paint the town red. Bitch, I said what.
Hello YouTube, I'm back with another story time.
I'm gonna tell you a little story, okay? Story time! Wake up! Okay.
I got arrested again. And even the last video about the story time when I got arrested, that wasn't like everything that happened. But I did talk a little bit about what I left out on my TikTok. If you want to follow my TikTok, it's the same as my Twitter also. And so this is a story time about the third time I got arrested. On this, like, this was the same case, mind you. The case is finally resolved. This was a year ago. Well, like, almost a year and a half ago. So yeah, I was arrested on a bench. Oh, before I start talking, before I tell y'all the story, because last time, I know, like this, like, personal, like, trend in my life or whatever, anytime I say anything to anybody or tell anybody about anything that's ever happened to me, like, nobody ever believes me. So I took the initiative of writing everything down this time, including the emails from the jail kiosk, every grievance and inquiry I made on the jail kiosk, notes from my attorney visits, and some more. But I have all the, like, not every single email from the jail kiosk is on here because I got my pen and pad when in the middle of, like, me being in there, and the emails didn't go all the way back to, like, the beginning of my incarceration. So yeah, there's only like half of them. I went to court while I was in jail. That's the first time this happened. So I'm gonna talk about that also. And then, okay, so I got arrested the end of January for a bench warrant. They give you, like, a first appearance, like, you're supposed to go to your first, like, hearing when you, like, it's like 48 to 72 hours after you get arrested. So they told me, like, they normally don't grant bonds for bench warrants for people that are on a bench warrant because it's, like, up to the judge when you go to court to decide. But they gave me a bond. I didn't get bonded out, so I was in there until I went to court. I didn't get bonded out because the same fake people from the last story did the same fake shit this time. So, okay, so I went to court, like 20 days after I was in jail. Alright, I got arrested. And then, so, they told me that they could lift the bench warrant. Well, like, yeah, they could, but the reason I was in on the bench warrant is because I was supposed to show up in court. I didn't show up. That's what the bench warrant is. But then I thought because everything that they've ever said to me about this whole jail scenario was, like, made up, I thought this was also made up. And that's why I have the emails, like, written, like, I wrote everything. Like, I can't access that from here because I can only see it in jail. But I don't, like, I can't scroll the kiosk from out of jail. I can't, like, look at it online. So I wrote everything down. Like, last time I didn't have that. In my story time, like, you just had to either, like, be on one end of the conversation or you just couldn't have any type of physical evidence. That's why I wrote it down this time. Because I know, like, nobody believes anything I say. So probably won't even believe this shit. It's literally, I mean, y'all be like, well, you're probably making that up. But anyways, so they told me that like my godmother and my best friend from 3rd grade told me that I had court on like, it was a few days before I got arrested, and I didn't show up because I thought it was fake. I thought they were lying, like they always do. Like they had, like somebody was like communicating with my lawyer this whole time, like when I was in jail the year before, and they were saying like my lawyer was like not answering emails or calls or anything. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like y'all are making this up. There's no lawyer. There's no like, these people aren't fucking real. You're just making this shit up. They're just keeping me in jail for no reason, which they were. And so, when I went to court, when I was in jail, they told me that they couldn't lift the bench warrant because, listen to this shit. They told me they couldn't lift the bench warrant because my mother had texted the prosecutor and told her that I was evicted from my apartment and that I was homeless. They moved all of the all my furniture, everything out of my apartment, and like threw all my furniture and everything. I talked about this on my TikTok, but they emptied everything out of my apartment, threw all my furniture away, all my belongings, like a lot of my belongings away. All I have really is like my clothes and like stuff that was in storage bins. Like all my like furniture, everything. Basically, if I like wanted to like move out somewhere, I talked about this on my TikTok, but I'd have to buy a whole new furniture, like whole new like living sets, like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but they threw all my stuff away when I was in jail, and then and signed for my apartment lease to end at the end of the month that I got out of jail. So it wasn't even like a vacant apartment until a week after, maybe it was like a week and a day after I got released from jail. And they told the court that I was homeless and I got evicted because they didn't want me. I guess they knew that would keep me in there, so that's why they kept me in there. Like that's their like reasoning for keeping me in, and throwing my furniture, everything out of my apartment. And told the courts that I was homeless and that I got evicted. So they wouldn't have anywhere to send my court documents. That was the issue. That's why I didn't believe any of this was real, because I didn't receive anything telling me that I had court. Like, except text messages from people that were saying that my lawyers weren't responding and weren't communicating. Like, I was just supposed to believe all that was actually happening. And then, yeah, so then they told the court that I didn't have anywhere to send the court documents, so they kept me in jail. They said, we can't lift the bench warrant because we don't have anywhere to send it to. Like, if you have a permanent address that you can live at, then we'll lift the bench warrant. And so I tried to ask my family members. Yeah. Tried to ask my family members if I could like say I was living with them, so I could get the court documents sent to their house. And like it was like I was communicating to other people basically through my deadbeat ain't shit ass dad. So that was like the opposite of helpful. But like, and then he was like, yeah, your cousin said you can't live there. And I was like, well, that was like, no shit. So like, but like, you can't just say I'm living there so I can get out of jail. Like they basically like were like, no, fuck you. Like, and then I tried to call because when they threw everything out of my apartment, they like threw all my furniture away. They like, apparently there was like a bag of some of my personal belongings at the girl's house that I went to school with, like her mom's house at the front of our neighborhood. And so I was like, let me ask her if I can tell the courts I'm living there. I talked about this on my TikTok also. Oh yeah, I talked about this on my TikTok, but I forgot that I hadn't like updated the story on my TikTok or on here, because I ran out of storage and everything, couldn't record. But yeah, so they told me that I had some of my personal belongings at her house. So I was like, let me just see if I can get her mom to say that I'm living there so they can send my court documents so I can get out of jail. She refused to do that. She like was talking a whole bunch of shit about, because I made a TikTok about it, and then she like went and like talked shit and like acted like she never did any of that, like she was helping me the whole time or whatever. And then so after that, I tried to ask, I was like trying to get bail out. It wasn't working, wasn't going, nobody was trying to, everybody was in the UK, so. But I had a bond, so, like, it would have been easier to just, like, say, like tell the courts that I have somewhere to see the documents so I could, not have to pay, like, nobody has to pay anything, but they do that, so, I had a visit with my lawyer in jail. This was my first time ever seeing or hearing from my lawyer, because all this other stuff that had been communicated to me, I thought it was all fake. I thought like this person was made up. Like, I had never heard anything from this person ever. Like, I got a text from the law office. I thought that was made up also, because there's a whole nother, I'll get into why. I'll get into why in a separate video. It's gonna make sense when I make that video. I can't really, there's no way I can explain all that within the time that I am making a video. But anyways, so, I found out this guy actually exists. And I'm like, I asked him, like, could I get, because I had heard something about like an OR bond where you can sign to get yourself bonded out. And I had, because, forgot to mention, when I got arrested, they literally busted into my house. Like, they were knocking on my door for so long. I thought it was like intrude, like fake people. Like, because I'll explain it, like, this will make a whole lot more sense. I'm still on the jail story right now. This will make, listen to me! I'm still on the jail. We'll get to that. But so these dudes were knocking on my door. I'm like, okay, like, obviously, like, this isn't like real police. They said it was the police, but I'm like, there's no way it's actually the police. Like, I haven't done anything. Like, there's no way the police are at my house. They made up like fake court dates and all these like fake like notifications and stuff. Like, you have to appear in fake court. I'm like, I'm not falling for that shit. Like, that shit is not fucking real. So I'm like, there's no way the police are at my door. There's no way there's actual police at my door. It turns out that it was the real fucking police. I'm like, how, like, all of a sudden is it only real when they want it to be real? How is this shit only made up sometimes, but then like other times, like, it's actually like, oh, you didn't listen, this shit was real. And this shit actually mattered, when all the other times everything was made up and nobody was telling the truth and nobody was saying anything that was like factual. It's just a bunch of fake made up fucking information that I have written down. Some of it. This is only some of the fake ass information. None of this shit is fucking real. They just make up a bunch of shit and then anyways, I'm still in the jail. So I'm like, none of this shit, like, they actually arrested me out of my house. They went into my apartment, got me out of my apartment, handcuffed me, and took me to jail. And so, why I said that, I mean, I had just forgot to mention that at the beginning, but I brought that up because when I was on my way to jail, I told them that I would, like, need money for bond to bring with me. I ended up taking cash to the jail because I didn't know that it would go immediately on your books and you can't like use that outside of the jail. But I transferred some money on my card anyway, so in case of like that situation, I would be able to have the money to bond myself out and still nobody would fucking like bail me out with my own fucking money. I'm like what the fuck? But anyways, so that's why when I was on the visit with my lawyer, I asked him if he could ask the court or like the judge or whoever to get me an OR bond where you sign for yourself to get bonded out because I had the money already. I just needed to get the bonding company, you know, involved. But I couldn't do that by myself, so that's why I was asking. And he said that he would request it. I went to court a second time and found out that if you wanted an OR bond, it's something that your lawyer would have had to request it for you, which I asked them to do and they didn't. So I didn't get bonded out. I was released on probation after I went to court the second time. Because the story's not over. That's where it is, but there's more that happened. If you want to hear more happened between that. I was in there for a month and a half. In that month and a half, I spent my birthday in jail because they would not let me out of jail. Never being fake and weird. And then now I'm out of jail and they're like, I hope they're not expecting anything from me. That's crazy. That would be absolutely insane if they were. But they sent me, yeah. So I was on the phone with my mom while she was like, making up stories about me getting evicted and stuff. And she was like, I only have like a certain amount of time to talk on the phone in jail, and it takes money. Like the longer they talk, the more money it costs. So I'm like trying to like talk to her, and she's like not like. So I don't remember what that phone call was about, but I ended up having an anxiety attack, or like, yeah. And then I went to my cell, and then like I was like trying to like calm down and breathe and stuff, and then like they sent like the people from medical in, like the mental health lady from the mental health lady. They sent her in to talk to me, and I was like, I don't want to talk. I'm trying to like fucking breathe. They're like, all right, we're gonna send you to medical. They sent me handcuffed me while I was already in jail, and took me to a different to the medical pod. I was no longer in general population, and like the only difference is like you get like more free time to be out of this like box of a cell and throughout the day. And then like when you have the free time, you can use phone and the kiosk. In medical, you only get an hour of free time a day if they give it to you. Sometimes they don't even give you the full hour. I had that somewhere written down. The day before my birthday, they didn't give me any free time. I was in that for a whole 24 hours. Well, probably like 48. It was more than 24. Did my birthday in jail. They kept me in there for 8 days and then let me back in general population. And then while I was in general population, they have, because it's like a shared, there's showers in the whole jail, but I was showering. There's like 3 showers upstairs and 3 downstairs. I was upstairs in the shower, and there were girls that were like pulling the curtains and like, and those girls that are like, there were girls that were like, I don't know if they kind of seemed like they were doing it on purpose. They would be like flashing me like, I'm not trying to see these on jail. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, and it would be like multiple times a day, like I'm seeing like naked bodies, and I'm like, and then while I'm in the shower, there's girls that are pulling the curtains and like I can't even like see my body like in jail like these. Like, I mean, and so I put in a grievance on the kiosk for PREA. It's like Prison Rape Elimination Act, and talking about how they were pulling the shower curtains and like they said they moved me to medical after that. Hold on, I'm gonna read you exactly what I wrote. Very often when I'm showering, other girls pull back the shower curtains or look through the curtain while I'm showering. I'm not sure who because they run away before I can see who it is, but I'm sure the cameras show who it is. And then they respond, started investigating. They spoke to me about it. Yeah. They moved me from general population back to medical while they investigated. And then they ended up telling me there was nothing they could do, but they weren't gonna move me back because they felt like being in medical was the safest option for me. They didn't move anybody else out of there. Like, we watched the cameras back. There's nothing that violates PREA. And like, we spoke to the girls. We spoke to the accused, and they said that there was nothing going on. So there's nothing we can do. So that happened. I stayed in medical until I was released. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention when I was in general population before, I got moved to medical the first time. This was like before court too. If you saw my last story time about jail, it was there was like a female officer that groped me inappropriately during a pat down, and I put in a pre-agreement about it. The day she showed up, because I forgot. They asked me a bunch of fucking times why I didn't say anything sooner, and because when it first happened, that's when I had first got to jail, and they threw me in suicide watch, and that's like right before I got in there when she did that. When you get in there, you can't leave unless you have to use the bathroom. That's literally the only reason they let you leave. Like, you don't have access to the phone, you don't have access to the kiosk, you can't really talk to anybody. I talked about that in the other one, but so then I didn't have an opportunity to say anything to anybody. Even if I did, they would have like told me to shut up and like told me I was annoying and stuff. So and then I didn't forget, but it ended up like there was like so much going on that I couldn't think about like how am I able to report this, because obviously nobody, if I told an officer on duty, they weren't gonna fucking listen to me. So I'm like, that wasn't like a concern about like how am I gonna share this, because obviously nobody was gonna do it, and they did it when I actually did report it. So when I saw her back in the pod, this was a whole separate time that I was arrested. But what I put in there, like when I saw her, I went to the kiosk immediately. I was like, officer currently on duty in J-Pod, not sure of her name, for morning shift on the day that I reported it. Groped me inappropriately and excessively when I was brought into custody on the day I was arrested before when she did that. And I was unable to report the incident at the time because I was held in suicide watch for over a week without access to the kiosk or knowledge on how to report the situation. So, they told me that like if it had happened or if I had reported it sooner, they would have been able to like go back and check the cameras, but the cameras only go back to like 6 months or something like that. Hold on a second. So there was no way for them to like find any evidence of it happening. So they just brushed it off. It's like, yeah, nothing we can do. They interviewed me like interrogation type interview. Like they had 2 cops pull me from my cell during like one of our lockdowns, and they asked me questions about it. And then I thought that was gonna be it, and then like on a separate occasion, they came and pulled me from my cell during another lockdown, and they took me to a separate room, like out of the pod, a whole separate section of the jail to be interviewed by somebody else about the same situation. And it was like there was like a camera set up, and it was like I was like so first 48 shit. But I was like I didn't think they were gonna do that much especially for them to not do anything the fuck else. But so yeah, they had me in there. They read me my Miranda rights and everything. They never did that when I was arrested. I asked them about that. They were like, no, we only no. I asked my lawyer, and they were like, they only did that when you were getting questioned, apparently. Yeah, basically they asked me the same questions on 2 separate occasions, and didn't do anything about it. They called me when I was released from jail on probation. I had to do like community service. They called me when I was on my way to my community service one day to tell me that they basically closed the case and couldn't do anything about it. And that was pretty much it. As far as like there was I went to court the second time. That's when I was released on probation, because that was really my only option, because if I wasn't released on probation, I would have had to wait for a trial. I would have sat in jail for longer until the trial. There's no way to know when the trial is. They just put it on the trial calendar, and there's no way for me to know in any type of advance when the trial would be, so there's no telling how long I would have been sitting in jail waiting for the trial. So I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I got stuff to do. I'll make a separate video. Excuse me. I'll make a separate video about like me being on probation, because there was so much I had to do, and there was so much going on. But yeah, so that's when the second court date is when I decided, like, let me the fuck out on probation. That was really my only option. I had to plead guilty to some shit that I didn't fucking do, but like it was either that or fucking sit in jail. Like the way they would sell, like how they were making up like all this fake court stuff, like all this stuff that never happened, and all these people that don't exist and all this stuff. I was like, they are not ever gonna let me out of jail. Like, if I don't get out on probation right now, they're gonna keep me in jail for fucking ever. I would have never been sitting here making this video. I probably would still be in jail. When I was on probation, when I was in jail, in court, like waiting to go see the judge, there was another girl in there who said like she had been waiting like 3 years or something for a trial. She had been in jail the whole time waiting for a trial. I don't know how true that is, because everybody fucking lies nowadays, but I was like, I'm not waiting no fucking, that sounds realistic as fucking in America. So I'm not waiting no fucking 3 years for y'all to tell me that I did some shit, or that I did do some shit I know I didn't do. So I'ma just, I got stuff to do. Like that you could, like, since it's my only offense, I can pay to get it like expunged from my record or whatever. Like, that's like a whole separate conversation. But like what I'm saying is, like, I needed to get the fuck out before they kept me in there for the rest of my fucking life. I was not about to do that. So here I am. Here we are. That's basically it. Like, I could talk about like the stuff the bitches did in jail. It's not like nothing spectacular. It's just jailbird shit, but like, I don't really feel like talking about that shit. So yeah, that's my experience in jail. And so I'm gonna go ahead and read off some of the kiosk emails about like the shit that was made up. I'm not gonna say names.